So now that my experiment with replicas is done, I thought it would be a good idea to come on here and just talk about some of the things that I've noticed with replicas, my experience, and my opinion about replicas overall. So if you're interested in taking part in this conversation, just keep watching. Hey, I'm Dre and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. Over here, we're all about looking and feeling our best for less. So if that's something that you're into, go ahead and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're always notified when I upload new videos. Before we get into this discussion, though, I wanted to take a quick minute, and it's really timely that we're talking about my free ebook that's available. It's called 5 Tips to Purchasing Pre-Loved Luxury Online. It's a quick, easy read designed to help you save money, shop with confidence, and avoid getting scammed. Go ahead if you haven't already. You can download it. It is in the description, it is pinned in the comments, and it is in my bio. But guys, let's get into this conversation. I wanted to take a little while first to talk about some of the things that I noticed with my experiment. So the first thing is that there's levels to the replica game. From a creator perspective, budgets for gifted collaborations varied across companies, with some being more generous than others. They generally range from $200 to $400. So the first company I worked with had a smaller budget of $200, so the bag I selected reflected that. Which leads me to the next point. From the customer perspective, if you browse any of those sites, you'll notice that they offer the same bag at different price points. So the more you're willing to spend, the better quality replica you can get. Some of the sites even have the pieces categorized by names like top, high, medium, etc. So the Speedy 20 that I unboxed first was $172 on the site, but I also saw the exact same bag for $498 on another site in their top category. So I would assume that bag would be considered mirror image or close to. The other thing that I noticed was the packaging. It tended to be off. So during this experiment, I collaborated with 6 different companies. 4 sent me LV bags, and none of the packaging was the same. The first box had cutouts with ribbon handles, which was a dead giveaway. It was also way too orange, but it was similar in quality to the original. The second box was more spot on, but with all of them, I noticed subtle differences in font from the original, especially with the U. The U was wider, and they also came with items that you don't receive when you purchase from LV, like cards, fake receipts, etc. And before now, I would have assumed that the better the packaging, the better quality bag inside, but that's not always the case. The P9 they sent was proof of concept. It didn't come with the best packaging, but it was definitely a better quality replica than the one I received with a packaging that was almost spot on. It was the best quality replica all of the 6 that I got total. So let's just move on to my experience with this whole project. So for the most part, things went smoothly with the collaborations. The first company that reached out to me rejected my first handbag selection because it was outside of whatever budget they have for collaborations, or at least for a collaboration with me. So that's how I ended up with the Speedy 20. But before agreeing to the collaboration, I informed them and every other company thereafter that I was willing to do one long form video and provide an honest review. So once they approved my handbag selection, they asked for my shipping information and phone number. So I would send that to them, and then like within 1 or 2 days, I would receive another email from them with tracking information and pictures and the links that they wanted me to put in the description. So it was fast and straight to the point with everyone except the last company that I worked with. But more on that in a few. So I was a bit apprehensive really about accepting the bags because I knew that I wasn't really going to be on here promoting them, so to speak, but more so just comparing them to the authentic versions. So I got over that real quick though when I started thinking about how much money they make actually selling these items. And also I realized at the end I did what I was going to do, which was unbox the bags and provide my honest review with links in the description. So technically I honored our deals. So the process was basically the same for everyone except that very last company that I worked with. And that person there got on my last nerves, y'all. So once I told them I was willing to collaborate, I included my shipping information, handbag selection, and phone number in the email, just like with the other ones. But for some reason, that wasn't enough of them. They had a million additional questions that I didn't think were necessary or even relevant to what we were doing. So come to find out, they had been messaging me on TikTok and IG. And even though I have accounts on there and I have posted, I'm not really consistent on those platforms, so I had not seen those messages. But I had come close to telling them, just forget it, don't send me anything, and blocking them. But we eventually agreed on how to best communicate, and things ran smoothly from there. So if we want to talk about how I really feel about replicas, that's kind of a two-sided or a two-pronged question. The moral arguments exist, ranging from these companies allegedly funding terrorist organizations to using child labor. And to be clear, I'm strongly opposed to both. But whether that's true or not, can we really be certain that those same things aren't happening under our noses right here in the US with household brands that we've known and trusted for decades? Like, I wouldn't put my money on it either way. But then there's the whole environmental impact. So I read or watched somewhere that counterfeit items that are seized in customs are destroyed by incineration. So I don't have to explain, the negative impacts that has. I think we're all aware of that. But the fashion industry as a whole has a huge impact on the environment, and I would imagine that dead stock is probably just as prevalent in the counterfeit market. So if you guys aren't familiar with the term dead stock could be anything from unsold products to the raw materials used to create them. And it happens in all manufacturing streams, but the fashion industry is a major contributor, or should I say culprit. So examples of pre-consumer dead stock could be excess textiles or materials left over after making apparel or other products. It could include scraps of fabric, hardware, buttons, zippers, etc. And these are essentially the leftover items that can't be used for their original purpose or order fulfillment. Then the post-consumer are the finished items that just never sell. So according to Jessica Schreiber from Fab Scraps, about 12% of all fabric created worldwide gets wasted in the design process. Guys, that's over 2 billion pounds a year. 2 billion. And her organization was founded in 2016 to address the textile waste issue. So currently the efforts are focused on creating an infrastructure to collect and recycle those unused materials. So they go around to different fashion houses in New York like Coach, Carolina Herrera, Marc Jacobs, and J. Crew collecting dead stock. Then volunteers sort it at warehouses in New York where it's donated, repurposed, and or recycled. If you want to learn more about that, I've linked a video in the comments in the description. It's really interesting, guys. But I wonder if the textile waste from counterfeit items are even included in the numbers when they talk about dead stock. And furthermore, are people who purchase replicas apathetic to their environmental impact or simply uninformed? Or is it justified in the same way that we justify patronizing fast fashion brands like Shein, Temu, or Fashion Nova? And let's not forget about that whole theft of intellectual property thing. We all know what this is, and some of us feel more strongly than others. Like, I've read comments in my videos and videos of other creators on this topic, and some people go hard for these brands as if they own major stock in the company or something. And while I'm not saying that people shouldn't do what's right and legal, the emotion behind some of these comments is just quite amusing to me. Like, some consumers who really love these brands take it personally. And I get it. Well, really, I don't. But kind of. Like, if I owned a business, I wouldn't want someone using my logo and putting it on their products and making money off of it. But Gucci, Louis Vuitton, YSL, Hermes, and whoever else are doing just fine, trust me, despite the rise in popularity and availability of superfakes. The owner of LVMH, Bernard Arnault, for example, is worth $208 billion, according to Bloomberg Billionaires Index. But according to complaints on Glassdoor.com, LV commission rates are less than 1% on most items. It's 0.01% on canvas, which are their best sellers, 0.6% on accessories, 1% on leather goods, 2% on the capucines, 3% on ready-to-wear, and 4% on high-end, exotic, and fine jewelry, which are their worst-selling items. One client advisor on there mentioned selling over $500,000 worth of merchandise in 2023 holiday season, only to get a $900 commission. But they also mentioned how limited the employee discount is, stating it's not generous, that the site doesn't keep items very long, so you have to be really quick on selecting stuff or you'll miss out. And I had a family member who worked for LV, and they said something similar about the discount. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions, but they did say that you can't just use the employee discount to purchase whatever you want, whenever you want. And there's also a limit on how much you can purchase using the discount. And they're really strict on you using it for yourself only and not for friends and family members. So with all of that being said, I just have a hard time finding empathy for luxury brands. The only leg they have to stand on is legal, which I guess is the most important. So how do I really feel about replicas? Well, despite them being illegal to sell and manufacture, I don't see anything wrong with consumers who choose to go this route. Now, people should spend their money how they see fit. So to me, some people like the look, but just aren't able or unwilling to pay for the real thing. And let's not pretend that there's also not an entire population on here who can afford to purchase direct from boutique and still opt for super fakes because they would rather use that money for investments or experiences rather than things. And that's not entirely far-fetched either, considering that the middle class actually spends more money on luxury brands than anyone else. So what does that say? There's also some psychology behind all of this. People don't like to feel excluded. So if you're really into fashion, like to incorporate trends into your wardrobe, but are on a limited budget, there may be a look that you just don't think you can achieve without a specific piece or a good replica. And I think the vast majority of people who buy replicas, it's not about pretending to be rich or tricking others. They simply like something that is out of their budget and won't settle for a dupe. And I don't see nothing wrong with that. Other times, people may buy replicas as a cost-effective way to test out the real thing. And I've been thinking about getting the YSL Nikki off the pre-love market. But even at that great price, like if I get it at the lowest price available, it will still probably be the most expensive bag I've ever purchased or ever will purchase. So I figured, why not see if one of the companies I'm collaborating with will send me one so I can test it out before spending thousands of dollars on the real bag. So if I happen to be out and about and I'm wearing the bag and someone compliments me on it, then I'll gladly tell them it's a replica, because now that's where I draw the line. People can do what they want, but I do not support people lying about the authenticity of their handbags. Like, if you spent your hard-earned money, whether it's real or fake, you shouldn't care about the judgment or opinions of other people. Just keep it real. That would be like me carrying the P9 I unboxed and then somebody asking where I got it and me lying and saying LV. First of all, why would I do that? But then secondly, like, anybody who knows me and knows anything about me knows I can't afford the LV P9. So regardless of how good the bag looks, common sense should tell you that it's not authentic. So in short, like, I am okay with replicas for people who just want a certain look, or, who want to test out a cheaper version before investing in the original. But what I'm not okay with is people lying about the authenticity of their bags. And I absolutely abhor anyone who's trifling enough to return a super fake to a retailer. Guys, store employees and client advisors are not authenticators. Like, even with the best of intentions, we can't always rely on them to recognize a good fake if it's returned to their store. We can't. So imagine saving up for months or even years for something super special. You decide that You don't want to risk the resale market because you don't want to get a fake or a super fake. So you go straight to the boutique or website of your favorite luxury brand and purchase the piece you've been saving for, only to find out later that it's a mirror image replica. Like, that would just be so awful. And I watched a video of someone who had something similar happen. They had a Chanel bag that they thought was authentic and didn't find out it was a super fake until they tried to sell it to Fashion File. Now, I don't remember if they actually purchased it directly from Chanel, but the point is they had the bag for a really long time and had worn it for a long time, not even knowing that it was a fake. And that's just really scary to me. Now, I've personally never sought after replicas because there's just enough contemporary handbags that I like. So I don't really feel the need, but I will probably use the ones that were sent to me, just being honest. And I most definitely use the P9 and the Nikki replica because, again, I need to test that out to see if the real one is worth buying. So if I had an issue with replicas, it would be when they're used to trick people. That's just not cool. But that is all I have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my experience and opinion on replicas, because we've been together way too long for you guys not to know my stance on this topic. So thank you so much for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Till the next time we see each other, take care of yourselves. Bye.